Brooke Carol Wilberger was the kind of person who left an impression on everyone she met. At 19 years old, she was full of life, hope, and promise. Born in Fresno, California, but raised in the lush, green surroundings of Oregon, Brooke was a devout member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She was kind, athletic, and deeply committed to her faith, qualities that shaped her gentle and caring nature. By the spring of 2004, Brooke had just finished her freshman year at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. She was studying hard, making friends, and looking forward to a bright future. But like many college students, she was also eager to come home for the summer. That summer, she returned to Corvallis, Oregon, to spend time with her family and to work at her sister's apartment complex near Oregon State University. It was a quiet, unassuming job, cleaning lampposts and helping keep the complex tidy, but it gave Brooke a chance to be close to home and the people she loved. Brooke's life was filled with simple pleasures, spending time with family, attending church, and nurturing a long-distance relationship with her boyfriend Justin, who was serving as a missionary in Venezuela. She was the kind of person who believed in goodness, in community, and in the power of faith to guide one through life's challenges. But beneath the calm surface of Corvallis that spring, a dark presence was lurking, a man whose actions would soon shatter the peace of this small college town and leave a family forever changed. Joel Patrick Courtney was 42 years old in 2004. To the casual observer, he might have seemed unremarkable, but his past told a different story. Courtney had a history of violence and sexual assault. Earlier that year, he had been arrested for driving under the influence and had been linked to other disturbing incidents. His behavior was erratic and dangerous, and on May 24, 2004, he was actively looking for victims near the Oregon State University campus. That morning, Courtney had already tried to abduct 2 young women from the university. Both had narrowly escaped, their courage and quick thinking saving them from a fate unknown. But Courtney was relentless. He was prowling the area, desperate and dangerous, looking for another target. On May 24, 2004, Brooke Wilberger was working alone in the Oak Park Apartments parking lot, cleaning lampposts. It was a sunny Monday morning, and the neighborhood was quiet. She was focused on her task, humming softly to herself, unaware that her life was about to change forever. At approximately 10:30 a.m., Joel Courtney pulled up in a green van. He approached Brooke, pretending to be a delivery driver to lower her guard. But witnesses nearby would later report hearing a scream, a sound that would haunt the community for years to come. Brooke's shoes were found abandoned in the parking lot, silent testimony to the terror that had unfolded. Courtney forced Brooke into his van at knife point, trapping her at the far end of the parking lot where no one could see. It was the last time anyone would see her alive. When Brooke didn't return home that evening, her family's worry grew quickly. She was not the type to disappear without notice or explanation. Her mother, Cammie Wilberger, remembers the sinking feeling that something was terribly wrong. The family reported her missing, and the search began immediately. Corvallis, a small but vibrant college town, was thrown into turmoil. Students, neighbors, and local law enforcement banded together, organizing searches and distributing flyers. The media took notice, and soon Brooke's story was being told on national platforms like America's Most Wanted. Her face was everywhere, on television screens, in newspapers, and on the internet, a symbol of hope and heartbreak. Despite the widespread search efforts, Brooke's whereabouts remained a mystery. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. The uncertainty was unbearable for her family and friends. Every lead was pursued, every tip investigated, but the trail seemed to grow colder with each passing day. The fear in Corvallis was palpable. Parents warned their children, students walked in groups, and the campus community grappled with the reality that a predator was among them. Joel Courtney's earlier attempts to abduct other women that day underscored the danger lurking nearby. The community's sense of safety was shattered. Yet, even in the face of fear, there was resilience. Brooke's family became advocates, speaking out about the importance of safety and community vigilance. They held vigils, prayed for her safe return, and refused to give up hope. Brooke Wilberger's story is one of light interrupted by darkness. A young woman full of promise, taken from the world far too soon. But the story does not end here. The investigation into her disappearance would become one of Oregon's most intense and high-profile criminal cases. It would test the limits of forensic science, the dedication of law enforcement, and the strength of a family desperate for answers. The morning of May 24, 2004, started like any other for Brooke Wilberger. She was working diligently, cleaning lamp posts at the Oak Park Apartments in Corvallis, Oregon. The sun was shining, birds were chirping, and the neighborhood was calm. But lurking nearby was Joel Patrick Courtney, a man with a dark past and dangerous intentions. Courtney had already tried to abduct 2 young women that morning. Both had escaped, shaken but alive. But Courtney was not deterred. Around 10:30 a.m., he pulled up in a green van near the Oak Park Apartments. He spotted Brooke alone and vulnerable. To her, he appeared as a harmless delivery driver, but his true intentions were anything but innocent. Witnesses later recalled hearing a scream, a sudden, piercing sound that shattered the morning's peace. Brooke's shoes were found abandoned in the parking lot, a chilling clue that something terrible had happened. Courtney forced Brooke into his van at knife point, trapping her at the far end of the parking lot where no one could intervene. From that moment, Brooke was gone. Courtney drove Brooke to a remote wooded area in the Oregon Coast Range, miles away from the safety of the town and the university. There, he bound her with duct tape, restraining her hands and feet. Brooke was held captive in the van for approximately 24 hours, terrified and helpless. During this time, Courtney left the woods to buy food and supplies, returning to the van where Brooke was tied up. The horror of those hours is difficult to imagine, a young woman, full of life and hope, trapped by a man whose intentions were cruel and violent. The following morning, Courtney committed an unspeakable act. He raped Brooke, violating her in the most brutal way imaginable. But Brooke was strong and courageous. She fought back fiercely, refusing to give in to her attacker. Her resistance enraged Courtney. In a violent rage, he bludgeoned her to death, ending the life of a young woman who had only just begun to live. After killing her, Courtney concealed her body in a shallow grave in the dense woods, hoping to hide the evidence of his crime forever. Back in Corvallis, the community was desperate for answers. Brooke's family held on to hope, organizing searches and speaking to the media. Law enforcement officers combed the area, following every lead. Despite the urgency and the extensive search efforts, Brooke's body was not found. The woods were vast and rugged, and Courtney's careful concealment of the grave made discovery difficult. The case quickly grew cold, leaving her family in agonizing limbo, not knowing whether she was alive or dead. The investigation into Brooke's disappearance was one of the most intensive in Oregon's history. Police interviewed hundreds of witnesses, followed countless tips, and worked tirelessly to find her. They knew that time was critical, but the trail was frustratingly thin. Joel Courtney became a person of interest early on, especially after his earlier attempts to abduct other women that day. However, without concrete evidence, police struggled to connect him definitively to Brooke's disappearance. The case attracted national attention. Shows like America's Most Wanted featured Brooke's story, appealing to the public for information. The community remained vigilant, but the mystery persisted. The turning point came years later, thanks to advances in forensic science. In 2007, Joel Courtney was arrested in New Mexico for the assault and rape of a university student who had escaped her attacker. DNA collected from that case was entered into a national database. Investigators soon discovered that Courtney's DNA matched evidence found in Brooke's case. This breakthrough was monumental. It placed Courtney in Corvallis at the time of Brooke's disappearance and linked him directly to the crime scene. This DNA evidence was the key that unlocked the case, providing the proof police needed to charge Courtney with Brooke's murder, even though her body had not yet been found. With the DNA match, law enforcement arrested Joel Courtney and charged him with multiple crimes: aggravated murder, kidnapping, rape, and sexual abuse. The charges sent shockwaves through the community, confirming the worst fears about Brooke's fate. Courtney's arrest brought a mix of relief and sorrow. The community was grateful that the man responsible had been caught, but the pain of Brooke's loss was still raw and unresolved. Despite Courtney's arrest, Brooke's body remained missing. Her family longed for closure, hoping to bring her home and lay her to rest. For 5 long years, the search continued, with no sign of her remains. In 2009, as part of a plea agreement to avoid the death penalty, Courtney confessed to the details of Brooke's abduction, assault, and murder. Crucially, he revealed the location of her body in the remote woods of Benton County. Search teams quickly recovered Brooke's remains, finally bringing an end to the years of uncertainty. Identification was confirmed through forensic analysis, including a watch her mother had given her, a small but powerful symbol of the young woman she was. Brooke's family expressed a mixture of grief and relief. After years of not knowing, they finally had answers. They were grateful to have her home, even as they mourned the loss of their beloved daughter and sister. Her mother, Brooke Wilberger, became an advocate for victims' rights and safety awareness, speaking publicly about the importance of community vigilance and the healing power of closure. The arrest of Joel Patrick Courtney in 2007 marked a turning point in the tragic story of Brooke Wilberger. But while the man responsible was finally in custody, the road to justice and closure was far from over. Brooke's family, the community of Corvallis, and law enforcement faced the difficult task of navigating the legal process, public attention, and the emotional aftermath of a case that had gripped the nation. After Courtney's arrest, prosecutors prepared a strong case. The DNA evidence linking him to Brooke's disappearance was compelling, and his history of violent behavior painted a disturbing picture. The charges against him were severe: aggravated murder, kidnapping, rape, and sexual abuse. The district attorney's office announced their intention to seek the death penalty, reflecting the gravity of the crime and the community's demand for justice. But the legal process was complicated by the fact that Brooke's body had not yet been recovered. Without her remains, proving murder beyond a reasonable doubt was more challenging. For years, the case remained in the courts, with Courtney's defense team exploring every possible angle. The Wilberger family endured the strain of a prolonged legal battle, hoping for a resolution that would honor Brooke's memory and bring peace to their lives. In September 2009, after 5 years of uncertainty and investigation, Joel Courtney agreed to a plea deal. To avoid the death penalty, he pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and other charges related to Brooke's abduction and death. As part of the agreement, Courtney cooperated with authorities and revealed the location of Brooke's remains in the remote woods of Benton County's Oregon Coast Range. This confession was a bittersweet victory for the Wilberger family. Finally, after years of searching, Brooke could be laid to rest. Courtney was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was transferred to a New Mexico prison to serve his sentence, far from the community he had terrorized. The recovery of Brooke's remains was a moment of profound significance. For her family, it marked the end of a long nightmare filled with hope and heartbreak. They described the experience as both devastating and healing, devastating because of the loss, but healing because they finally had answers. Brooke's mother, Brooke Wilberger, spoke publicly about the importance of closure and the power of faith in helping her family cope. She emphasized that while nothing could bring Brooke back, knowing the truth allowed them to begin the process of healing. Brooke's case received extensive media coverage, both locally and nationally. Programs like Dateline NBC featured special segments, such as Bringing Brooke Home, which chronicled the investigation and the family's journey. Other shows, including 2020 and Investigation Discovery documentaries, highlighted the forensic breakthroughs and the tireless work of law enforcement. The case became a symbol of the importance of DNA technology in solving cold cases and the need for community vigilance against violence. The media attention also helped raise awareness about the dangers faced by young women near college campuses and the importance of safety measures. Brooke's story resonated with many, inspiring conversations about prevention and support for victims. Corvallis, Oregon, was forever changed by the tragedy. The community mourned Brooke's loss, but also rallied to support her family and promote safety initiatives. Vigils, memorials, and charity events were held in her honor. The university and local authorities increased efforts to improve campus security and educate students about personal safety. Brooke's story became a catalyst for change, reminding everyone that even in peaceful communities, vigilance is essential. The Wilberger case underscored the critical role of DNA evidence in modern criminal investigations. Without the DNA match linking Joel Courtney to Brooke's disappearance, the case might have remained unsolved indefinitely. Law enforcement agencies worked collaboratively across state lines, sharing information and resources. The case demonstrated how advances in forensic science can bring justice to victims and their families, even years after a crime has occurred. Today, Brooke Wilberger's story is remembered not just as a tragic loss, but as a testament to resilience, faith, and the pursuit of justice. Her family continues to honor her memory through advocacy and outreach, helping others affected by violence. The case remains a powerful reminder of the vulnerabilities that exist in society and the importance of community, technology, and determination in overcoming them.